very much happy to have you in our midst in this masterclass session. Quickly before we move into the main stuff for this session, I just want us to do a little bit of introduction, and that would be to go to the chat box and type in your name and where you are joining us from. I'm going to start. My name is Ojoayo, and I'm joining you from Lagos, Nigeria. How about you? Let me see those names and those locations in the chat box. Hello, Cornelia. Nice, meeting you. Nice, hearing from you. Let's keep it coming. Hello, David. Oh, Isosa is joining from the UK. All right. Hello, Isosa. Hello, Samuel. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Hello, Alabi, live from Canada. Okay. Yes. So once again, I want to welcome everybody from wherever you are joining us from and from whatever time zone, be it in the morning, be it in the afternoon, be it in the evening. I want to bid you welcome to another masterclass session. But I just want to be sure if this is another masterclass session for you. So if you are joining us for the first time, why don't you give me a thumbs up or just reply yes in the chat box quickly. Okay, so we have Beauty and Joey joining us for the first time. But quickly, Beauty and Joey, please, I would love to know where you are joining us from. I know your names, but I want to know where you're joining us from so that I can properly welcome you to this masterclass session. So if you would like, just put it in the chat box and we can kick off. Oh, nice one, Joey. Nice meeting you live from Toronto, and Beauty is in Lagos, Nigeria with me, same as Samuel too. Okay, so once again, guys, welcome. And in this masterclass session, we are just going to be talking about building your first end-to-end data analytics pipeline as a data engineer. I know you guys are very much interested in data engineering. In fact, most importantly, you're interested in joining, doing a course with analytics, and I'm happy about that. And I'm sure right after this data analytics session, or rather right after this masterclass session, you are going to be signing with us, and I assure you, you're going to be having a wonderful time. Oh yeah. So before we move into the magic or into what we want to do, why don't you let us just introduce this wonderful organization that's bringing this masterclass to you? And that's in the person of, or rather, the organization of Tenalytics. Who are we? Yes, who are we? We are a leading edtech company focused on providing specialized training in technology skills and also delivering comprehensive data consulting service. We have a track record of building talent for technology workforce for over 4 years, and we have so far we have helped over 2,850 plus people, which you are going to be joining very soon. We have helped them to transition from the classroom into their first job in tech across UK, US, Canada, Europe, Africa, and Asia. As you can see, we are very much global, and we are very much committed to making that technology sector very accessible to you through premium training in data analytics, business analytics, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR and analytics, Scrum, cybersecurity, AI engineering, and some other courses, to come. We have wonderful instructors, top cream de la cream of instructors that are ready to bring you, they're ready to give you the wealth of real-world experience and are dedicated to give you engaging and practical learning when you do join. So as you can see, we have our links there. You can just use it to join us, or you can use it to follow us on any of our pages, our Instagram page, our Twitter, or our LinkedIn, or you can just check it out on our website, www.tenalytics.io. So now I'm going to, be introducing the host and the co-host for the session. Very, very wonderful guy in the person of Isosa Agbolahon. And Isosa is a seasoned technology professional with half a decade of diverse experience spanning data analytics, business analytics, and power platform engineering. And more recently, is into predictive AI engineering. That's so wonderful. A top guy. if you ask me. And he's also the lead in charge of training and operation at Tenalytics. And also he has a rich background in various roles as a data analyst, a business analyst, a power platform engineer, and he has worked with countries across the globe. And also one very, very wonderful fact is that he has trained over 2,500 participants, which solidifies his expertise in the field. And you can connect with Aisosa on LinkedIn. You can just search him with his name, Aisosa Agbolabo. And the co-host is myself, Ojoayo Kuntade. I am a highly skilled data professional with track record in data engineering, web scraping, machine learning, and I'm very focused on delivering innovative data-driven solution. And I also, I'm a specialist in architecting efficient data system and tackling complex data challenges, one of which is data pipeline design, which I'm going to be showing you in this masterclass session. Okay, so that is that about the introduction. Why don't we just, let us get locked in. And if you're ready, just give me a thumbs up or type yes in the chat box. Oh, wonderful. That's great. That's great. So I guess we can now move on. So we are going to be looking at a case study together quickly. And the case study is going to, involve a particular lab, XCD Research Lab. And this is where we are going to implement the building of an end-to-end data analytics pipeline, right? Yes, so who are these guys? So the XCD Research Lab is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of scientific knowledge and making a positive impact on the world. Through research, collaborations, and community engagement, they strive to create a healthier, more sustainable future for all. You know what I mean? And now they have a problem, not quite a problem that we're about to solve, quite a big problem, but we're about to solve it. We're about to dissolve it and it doesn't exist again. So they aim to provide current insight into the UK carbon intensity. So if you don't know what the carbon intensity is actually, carbon intensity has to do with the amount of CO2, that is carbon dioxide, we emit from power that is power generated and power consumed across the United Kingdom. So they want to track it and they want to also use it to make advice, to give advice to the government and to give them insight that, okay, this is the amount of CO2 that's coming out. I mean, to save life and to make sure the environment is clean. We have clean air to breathe. But they lack an automated system to fetch live data from the national API. So they don't have a system that gets it. It's kind of manual and it's a quagmire. It's quite obsolete too. And also, they are also lacking an end-to-end data pipeline, where which is now enabling the researchers to efficiently track the trends or visualize ongoing changes in electricity generation, environmental impact using Power BI. This therefore delays crucial reporting where something that's supposed to take a day or minutes, or a day or hours or minutes, is taking them weeks to solve. Right now, what are we going to be doing for them? What is our vision for this project? So by developing an end-to-end data pipeline from API to Power BI, we are equipping XCD Research Labs with continuous actionable carbon intensity data. And this project offers an hands-on experience for you, me, and the data engineer that's going to be working on this, which is me too, here, in building complete analytics solution and enabling timely environmental impact assessments and also significantly enhancing the lab's research capabilities through dynamic visualization. That's not all. What is the aim of this project? So we're going to be constructing an automated data pipeline to source live data, live carbon intensity data. Then we're going to implement data processing for analytics and insight gathering. And then we enable the integration of the transformed data into Power BI. Pretty interesting, right? Yes. So what is our tech stack? Our tech stack, we're going to be starting with request the library for handling request and response to the server. We're also going to make use of pandas, and the pandas library, we're going to use the pandas to pass the data gotten from the API response. And there we are going to also make use of Postgres, our database system where we store the data, but we're also going to use CSV2 to be able to see what we have. And lastly, or rather, would I say the father of all, the Python programming language, which we're going to be using predominantly in this session. And then we are just going to wrap it up with me showing you how to integrate this data that you have just gotten, transformed, processed into Power BI for visualization. And now, what's our project workflow? Data extraction, data transformation, and data loading. Extract from source, transform, and load the data. This is where it's going to lead me to tell you a little bit about the data pipeline. That the data pipeline is actually a bridge that connects data from one source to a destination. So our source is the API. Our destination is more or less like our Power BI. But before it gets to Power BI, it has to, be stored somewhere like a database or a CSV file. I mean, that's that about that. If you're ready to join me on this adventure, why don't you give me a thumbs up or type yes in the chat box quickly. Let's go, let's go, let's go, guys. Let's go, guys. I'm not saying any yes yet. I mean, I don't know if you got me there. If you're ready to join me on this adventure, why don't you just give a yes? All right, Agate, Samuel, I'm sure, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Cornelia Samad. And if you are just joining us, welcome to you. Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining us from. I'm so happy to have you. Throughout the session, I'm definitely going to be happy that you are here with me. Okay, now I guess I've gotten enough yeses. It's time for us to start working. So I'm going to take you to my VS Code, and we are going to see, I know there are some codes there and it's looking like, oh my God, what the hell are we doing here? But don't worry, it's going to get simpler from here on. Now, just like I said, we are going to be using some libraries. Like I said, we're going to use Python. Which is this. We're going to be using pandas, which is what you have here for data manipulation and analysis, and also to pass the data that we have gotten from the API. And we are going to be utilizing a request for the API interaction, because an API, you need to make a request on the API for you to get data, or rather a response. And the response is coming in as a data, and that is what we are gunning or hoping to get. So if we look at this now, we have this URL here, and this URL is what Universal Resource Locator, or otherwise known as a link, rather, is what we are going to make use of in interacting with the API. As in, if you just give me a second, let me just show you what I mean by that. Let's get rid of this now. Okay, great. So this is our source. So this is where we are hoping to get our carbon intensity data from. As you can see, if we are successful in interacting with this API, this is the kind of data that we are going to get. I know it's looking like, oh my God, how do we even start with this? Well, it's very, very possible. Joint analytics, and you know how, definitely. I'm about to know how soon. So yeah, so if you look at this now, this is what you're likely going to get if your interaction, that is, if your request was met with a response from the API. Now, we're going to use Python to be doing that right about now. So, like I said, I'm using the request, and I'm going to be building a function that's going to be responsible for doing just that. Now, I'm going to be starting with my def, of course. So I'm just going to say def. I'm not mistaken. Yes. So I'm just going to say def extract data. As you can see, I don't want to make use of this. Just get rid of that. So def extract data. I'm going to use the URL as my parameter. That's whatever URL I'm about to get provided with as my parameter there. And I'm just going to say, okay, data equals requests dot get. And what is it getting? It's getting the URL, right? Now, what happens with this request dot get is that this Python acts as a browser and goes to the particular site, or wherever server, and tries to get information from that particular server. So we are just trying to save whatever response it gets into this particular variable called the data, or the data variable. And right after that, I don't know if there's any other thing that we are likely going to add, but we can just leave it at that. I'm still going to update this, by the way. And then we can now decide to say, okay, let's print out the response code. We want to see what is the status code for whatever request that we have made. And this is where we have this. So we say data extraction complete, status code, and we say data.status code. Now, what it's going to do is that if it returns 200, as you can see from their own documentation that they have here, yes, if it returns 200, meaning it's okay, and it's going to give us what I just showed you earlier. If it is 400, it's a bad request, and it's going to be giving us something at the top here, that there's an error or something, or you are not allowed, or this page does not exist. And if it's 500, we're likely going to be having an internal server error, which is the error is coming right from their side. Like, we don't have anything to do with this error. 400, you are making a mistake. 200, everything is fine from one end to the other end. But we just have to be sure on, we just have to be sure with what we, we are getting. So right after that, we can now decide to pass it, because whenever you are interacting with an API, the data comes back as a JSON file. So we're going to say data again is now equals to data.json. Data.json. And at the same time, whenever it returns that data for you, we need to get the main data itself, which is encapsulated inside a particular index called data index. I'm still going to show you what comes out after you have done all this. And at the end of everything, we just return data readily available for us. But how do I know this is even going to extract? Why don't we do a quick test to see what kind of data it's going to give me in the long run? So I'm just going to take you to my demo that I have, created here, something more or less like a replica of what I've just done right in this place here. So this is the function. This is a much more advanced, this is a much more, I'll say this now. This is a much more advanced function that's going to, handle it in case if there's any failure or not. We're going to be, resulting in using this. So I'm just going to run this function. As you can see, it went successfully. Then I'm going to print out what I have gotten from the function itself before we move on to the transformations and the likes. It's going to take a while because, making interactions with server, so it's likely going to take just a couple of seconds more, and we should have something. Now, what do we see? We got a response code of 200, meaning that it was successful, and we got data back. I mean, I really don't know how I'm going to work with this data, but with the help of our transformation, we are definitely going to work with this data. But before I proceed, I want to be sure if you all are following me. Please, if you are following me, give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat box. And let's not forget, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Yeah, you'll definitely be able to understand it, Cornelia. Sure thing. With analytics, it's going to make everything look smooth and easy. It's going to be made easy with analytics. All right. So let's proceed. So this is the data we got, right? But our goal is we're not just going to give it to them like, yeah, guys, have it. I've gotten your data for you. We still have to make sure it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't make sense to me either, but our job, or my job as a data engineer, is to make it make sense. Now, this is where we're going to be getting our hands more data than before. If you want to see this data much more better, let me just make it this way. Okay, let me use pprint so that you can see it in a much more better version. There we go. Take another couple of seconds, since we are making a request, just like I said. Okay, so this is how it's going to return data for us. That's right after we've done everything that we just did. This is how it's going to return our data. The guy is looking like, oh my God, what is this? Well, our job, like I said, is to make it make sense. Wonderful. So why don't we just get on, with doing that? Now let's go back to this ETL.py where we are going to be applying the transformation. Yes, I have the code for the transformation right here. It's quite long. I would have loved to type it out, but we are on the schedule. Right. So this is the transform. This is the function that's going to transform that data. That's going to transform all this gibberish or jargon looking data. Is going to make it look much more better, like a CSV, or how would I put this, rather a structured format. Yes, going to make it look more structured. And there we have it. So for entry in data, that is get the time of what of the carbon intensity being generated. And once it gets the time, it extracts the date from it and also extract the time from it. Because once it gives you the time, it gives you the time in date and time format. So you have to get, you have to separate the both of them together. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, this is what I'm talking about here. So at the end of everything, it's going to get you just this day, and it's also going to get you the time that it occurred. And moving on to the next, we have the day. So I would love to get the day and the month that this actually occurred from that particular data set. So I'm still going to make use of this time that I recorded, or rather I extracted. So I'll just extract all those values from there. And then from region in entry, so I need the region where this particular carbon intensity was generated. So I'm just going to say DNO region is equals to region, using region with the index of DNO region, because if we come back to what we have here, if I want to get the region, I have to navigate my way down to this region and say, okay, what region was this carbon intensity generated? And we have the Scottish hydroelectric power distribution. And where is that? That is in North Scotland. I mean, the UK guys would absolutely know where I'm talking about, right? So I've been able to get that. I've also been able to get the region ID. Now, what is the forecast, or what is the carbon intensity index that we have currently? Well, that's easy. All I'm able to do is to locate wherever I have it here. Okay, I say, okay, what's the forecast? I have is in this intensity index. The forecast is inside the intensity index. We have the forecast index and the index itself, which is, yes, it is very low on this end, and that's a very good one. Really, you don't want it to go too high. And once you have been able to get that, I'm just going to apply the same thing. I'm also going to apply the same thing for pretty much everything that you see there. Then after you must have transformed, I'm going to keep it in some sort of dictionary, and I'll bend it in a list. Like I said, I can't just take it to Power BI like that. I just have to make sure, yeah, they are stored somewhere for me to, come back and access them easily. And right after we're done with this, we are going to be loading to CSV. So this goes to a database, by the way, but let's not bother about the database for now. Let's just bother about CSV because it's faster and it's easier for us to integrate with Power BI. And, that's the whole point of everything here. So looking at this, how do I load it to CSV? First of all, I say, okay, the data that you have transformed for me, this transformed data relies on the data extracted, while the loaded data is relying on the transformed data. That's to load the data. And I'm going to give it a name called carbon intensity data. So I'm going to say my DF, this is where I utilize my pandas, like I said, to pass the data that we have extracted from the API. So right after I have this here, I say what pd.dataframe data, and the number, I want to see the number of records it extracted. I want to know how many carbon intensity indexes and forecast and regions was able to get for me at a go. Then we have our df.shape0, and we say after everything, after you must have passed this data, we want you to save it as a CSV file. That's why we have the df.to.csv. I have my format here, meaning that, okay, give it this name and also today's date. We don't want any index and want the index label to be what? We want an index and want the index label to be named ID. And after this particular function must have been executed, this particular message prints out. That is the record number, record successfully saved. Meaning it's going to give us, okay, total of 860 something. I can't really remember, but why don't we find out? Why don't we find out? Now, this is what I'm going to be using to make an execution to the code. So it's going to start with commence data extraction, ended data extraction, commencing transformation, and saving data to CSV. So if we can see all these three messages when we are running this code, our data pipeline has successfully extracted data from the API, right? Transformed it, loaded it to a CSV, and all that's left for us to do is to integrate this with Power BI. Okay, so let me just make a quick adjustment to the function I used to extract the data. That was just more or less like a demo. And how about we see magic? I won't call it magic. It's just a whole lot of process, code process and instructions and the likes. All right, so let's run this. So I'm just going to click on this, one Python file button over here. So I'm just going to click on it and let's see the amazing results we are going to get from this. I said it might likely take a while. That's commenced data extraction, so we hope for the best. Oh, great. We hope for the best. We got the best. These are successfully extracted this data from the API, and I've saved it as a CSV file. I mean, it's wonderful, right? If you think this is wonderful, why don't you give me a yes in the chat box quickly? Hello, guys. Don't you think this is, nice? I'm not sure you got me. I think if you think this is wonderful, just give me a yes in the chat box. Okay, yes, wonderful. Probably I didn't see that on time. Great work, great work, great one. Okay, then since we have seen how this is extracted, in fact, I would love to show you the data that it's that is extracted and saved. This was how it looks like when we did extract it from the source, looking, oh my God, what have I entered? Well, you have entered a good thing, and it's something that you know how to do on your own too. So we have this carbon intensity. If I open it, you are going to see this data. I know it's not really looking like, oh my God, what is this again? What has Ojoayo brought to us? But this is how, now, this is how it's supposed to look like at the end of everything. Now, let me now show you how it's going to look like in Power BI when we integrate this particular data into Power BI for visualization. We're not going to be building a dashboard, by the way, but I'm just going to be showing you how to make the integration because that's just a job of a data engineer, right? So now let us head over to Power BI. We are done with Python for now. We are done with Python we're done with everything that has to do with Python. So yes, great. So this is my Power BI desktop. I am going to be integrating that data I've just extracted, transformed, and loaded. I'm going to be integrating it with the Power BI. So I'm going to be starting with get data from source because before you even do anything like reporting or visualization, you have to get your data from source. I mean, very, very important stuff. So I'm going to click on the get data from source button, right? And once I do that, there should be a window that's going to come up right about now. Okay, yes, great, wonderful. That took quite a while. So there are a lot, one thing I love Power BI for is its ability to integrate with diverse, I mean, a lot of data sources from Excel to CSV text to XML, JSON, a folder itself, a PDF, a key file, access database. I mean, to mention but a few, there are a lot of them, as you can see. I mean, it goes on and on and on. See how long this is. And that's very, very wonderful. I mean, that's why a lot of people make use of it. Yes. So I'm going to be selecting the data source that we are concerned with, which is the text or CSV. What CSV really means is comma separated value for those of us that are not aware. So I'm going to be selecting the CSV and I'm going to click on the connect button. And that should take me to, it's going to open my file explorer, as you can see in my screen. Open my file explorer and tell you, okay, we need you to go to where or what text, or rather what file you want to integrate with Power BI. So I'm just going to navigate or find I'm going to navigate my way to where I have that file. So it's inside this folder. This should be it. Yes, carbon intensity data 250514. That's just for today, right? I'm just going to open it. And once I click on the open, it's going to see this button that's loading and this interface or window that your data is, getting right into Power BI, and there should be another window that should come up. Yeah, exactly. Now, look at this. I mean, how did we move from this? Look at how the data has been, is looking ordered. Will I say, looking ordered, looking structured, rows and columns, something that even if you are not a data engineer or a data analytics person, you can still make sense of what you are seeing here. How do we move from this to, or rather, how do we move from this? I should have brought this up earlier. Don't mind me. I'm just excited. Yeah. So how do we move from this I mean, everything that we are seeing in the Power BI in the Power BI desktop is whatever is what is coming from here because we made a transformation. So we moved from this guy or this data or this type of raw data to something as nice and beautiful as this. So once you're done, you can decide to transform your data or you can decide to load it into Power BI. And from here on, this is where the data analyst or the data scientist perhaps comes into play to make insights or to do whatever visualization they want to do on this particular data. But your own job is to build a pipeline that connects from the API down to Power BI. Isn't this wonderful, guys? Isn't this wonderful? Okay, not getting any response. Oh, wonderful. Amazing. Alabi, that's, on point. Yes, I love that point. Okay, so, I mean, that's that about that. We are practically done with this demo, and I'll be, passing the baton, the mic, or, I'll be passing the, how will I put this now, the ambience to my guy, this wonderful, this handsome man that you're seeing on the screen right now, Isosa. So he's going to, tell us how you can also be part of this train that does something wonderful as what I've just done in this masterclass. Of course, you're going to get a video to, there will be this particular session is going to be recorded. It's recorded right now, and it's going to be posted on YouTube. So you can just go to YouTube and watch, subscribe to Tenalytics YouTube channel, and give us a like. So Aisosa, you have the floor.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ujwayo. Fantastic session, absolutely fantastic. I learned a lot, and yeah, for a while there, I was blushing a bit with the praises that you bestowed upon me. Okay. But anyways, fantastic. I really enjoyed the session, and I'm sure that we all did as well. What we've been able to do is that we've been able to get data from an API and push into a database. Now, I don't think many of us really have an understanding of what has just occurred. An API is a link, it's a kind of connection that you use in getting data from websites or applications, a different data source, right? A different source. So we've been able to connect to that carbon website, carbon intensity, to track carbon intensity. We've been able to connect to that. We got the data using Python, of course, connecting to that API. And then the data was looking like, what was that? It was just looking like a bunch of codes and a bunch of, it was in a semi-structured format. Okay, so the data was in a semi-structured format, and that cannot be used by data analysts. That cannot be used by data scientists. So we were able to see how we could transform that into a form that can be easily inserted, loaded into Power BI, which is amazing. So the role of a data engineer is the role of a data engineer is very, very crucial for any data infrastructure. The data analyst, the data scientist, anyone that works with data, they cannot function without the data engineer, because the data engineer is the person that is going to ensure that the data is gotten from wherever it is, and that it's gotten from wherever it is then pushed to a database, or maybe pushed into a sheet, a CSV file, whatever the case might be, for the data analyst to be able to access. Where we stopped today was moving the data into Power BI, but that is not where it will end. Of course, there needs to be some sort of analysis. There needs to be some sort of insight that will be gotten from the data. And of course, we have other professionals that will be handling that. So this was very, very amazing. This was fantastic. For many of us, we probably could not understand all of the codes that was going on, but don't worry. Of course, that's the reason why we're here, to see how we can break all of these things down for you, that you'll be able to see yourself doing something equally amazing later on, that you'll be able to see yourself, you take a look back and you say, oh, this was where I was previously, and this is where I am at the moment. And you'll be able to see that there has been a tremendous change, hence the reason why we're here. I'm Isa Sagmalaho, and I'll be taking you through how you can become a data engineer in the next couple of minutes. Okay. And one thing that I always love to mention, one thing that I always love to say, is the fact that at Analytics, we are just like Santa. You know Santa? Santa Claus. And what does Santa do? Or Father Christmas, as it's called in some parts of the world, right? What does Santa do? Santa ensures that it makes the dreams and goals of kids come true. So maybe a child wants to get a plane, maybe a child wants a PS5 or a PS6, even though that's not out yet. Okay, but whatever the kid wants, then you have Santa brings it over, and thereby ensuring that that kid has gotten their wish, that their dreams have been fulfilled, all of those kind of stuff. So when you think of Santa, think of team analytics. We are Santa for you. For many of us on the call, we've been looking to transition to become a data engineer. Data engineering is something that we've always been interested in. We want to be very, very relevant in the tech industry. We want to be able to leave what we are doing at the moment to get into something that we want to be able to leave what we are doing at the moment into something that we can see career growth. We can see career growth. We are earning well. All of those things, and we're wondering, is data engineering really one of those key roles? Right? Because you've heard so many people talk about data engineer, data engineer, data engineer, but is it all just hype or is there something underneath it? Is it all just hype or is it worth you getting into? Is it all just hype or is it actually a career path that you can get into, be able to get a job, and of course you'll be able to earn well? Talking about the Benjamins. Okay, the Benjamins. And yeah, sure, we're going to discuss more about that later on, anyways. So, like I mentioned, at Analytics, we are Santa. And so the reason why we started all of this is to ensure that we help you achieve your goals. So we don't wing things. We don't wing things. When I say wing things, I'm going to write that out so we understand. So wing, when you say wing, okay, wing. We don't wing things. So we actually went ahead to do our research before we decided, okay, data engineering is actually a viable path that people should be looking to get into, that you should be looking to get into, a path that you'll be able to achieve your dreams. There was a lot of research that actually went on. And one of the first things that we did was that we went ahead to scrape the different job website, the different websites. I'm talking about websites like LinkedIn, job boards like LinkedIn, to Glassdoor, to Total Jobs, read.co.uk, Inbuilt, all of these things. We scraped the jobs, and mind you, web scraping is also one of the things a data engineer does. But don't worry, we'll get there, okay? So we scraped all the job boards, and then after scraping the job boards were now in a database. So at first, we acted as data engineers, we scraped the job board, and then we pushed it to a database. And because we are still a data company, we went ahead to carry out our analysis, and our analysis was based on three main criteria. We took a look at things, careers that are easy for you to learn, careers that are easy for you to transition into, and careers that have high reward and salary. Ease of learning is talking about the fact that you want to move into a career that you can learn in less than a year. You'll be able to get what you need for you to be able to transition and get a job, which is very important because as adults, we have all the lives. We have kids, we have spouses, we also have a day-to-day job. So when you're looking to learn something, you want to learn something that just like that, you've learned, you've gotten the skills, you're already earning, right? Because, like I said, there are other things that we have to attend to. And so, ease of learning, number one. And number two, ease of transitioning. Ease of transitioning being the fact that you want to move into a career path that you don't need to have some sort of experience to be able to get a job. You don't need to have a master's in data engineering. You don't need to have gone to have a degree in data engineering for you to be able to function as a data engineer, for you to be able to work as a data engineer. No, you don't need all of that. Okay. And of course, B being the fact that there are so many opportunities available that you are sure of getting a job. You can go out there. Data engineers are one of the most sought after professionals in the data space. And the reason is this. The reason is this. Okay. The reason is this. You don't have so many data engineers. Okay, you don't have so many data engineers. And so data engineers are scarce. But we'll get into that. So ease of transitioning, the fact that there are so many opportunities available. So you can apply to over 20 jobs in a day, depending on, because of course, the more jobs you apply to, the better your chances of you landing that role. So you can apply to over 20 jobs in a day because every day you get nothing less than 100 roles that were uploaded on just one job site. So when you're actually applying to these jobs, you know that you're applying to jobs that are still open because you don't want to be applying to roles that were posted 1 month ago, 2 months ago, because you don't know if those roles have been filled. And of course, the Benjamins, very, very important. Okay, the Benjamins. which is high rewarding salary. If that's your goal for getting into tech, then trust me, it is very, very valid. High rewarding salary is something that many of us are also looking at because we want to be able to not just get our needs, but equally get our wants. Because that's one of the philosophies that I also live by. The fact that your wants are equally as important as your needs. You want to be able to afford clothing, shelter, and nutrition, but you also want to be able to get that pair of shoes that cost $1,000 without really batting an eye. You want to be able to do that, if you ask me. So, high rewarding salary. And the different career paths that we notice that actually fall under this category, there are actually eight. We notice that eight career paths fall under this category. But what we are actually focused on today is what? The data engineer. Data engineering is one of the career paths that fall under ease of learning, ease of transitioning, and high rewarding salary. So that was the first thing that we did for you to be able, for us to be able to identify, because we did all of the work. So you can just come in, know what you want to learn, and start making the cool cash, right? So we did all of the work. The first thing we did is what I've just gone through. So we were able to see data engineering actually falls under this actually falls under these three things. It's easy to learn, easy to transition due to the numerous opportunities available, and of course, high and rewarding salary. But we wanted some sort of external validation because something that we understand, something that we know, something that probably each and every one of us on the call also know as well. I'm talking to you, Agatha, okay? That's Lawrence. Yeah, I'm sure you know this as well, okay? And I'm also referring to you as caller. I'm sure you know this as well. And what do you know? That's when you're actually carrying out research for yourself, when you're doing a thing or two for yourself, there is a tendency that you can be biased. There is a tendency that you might omit something or two because you are carrying out your own research. So in order to increase the sample size, like the kind of data we're looking at, the kind of organizations we are looking at, we also took a look at external validation, people, organizations that are not related to analytics, of course, at the moment, that have been able to carry out a similar kind of research as to what we've done, so we can compare results and see if maybe what we've done is actually truth, if there's an element of truth in the findings that we've got. And that's how we came across the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is a very large organization. I'm sure many of us know about the World Economic Forum, right? And what they do, they release a report every 2 years called The Future of Jobs. Future of Jobs, okay? The report is called The Future of Jobs. And what the report shows, it shows roles that are going to be created and roles that will be destroyed. It shows roles that will increase in terms of the number of opportunities available in time, and it shows those that will decrease for the next 5 years. The latest report was released in January this year, as you can see, 2025. So we can see that the roles that are going to be available from 2025 to 2030. And the rows by the left, these are rows that will increase, okay, increase with time. Those rows will increase with time. And the rows by the right, these are the rows that will decrease in terms of demand. And pardon my writing, okay? So the ones by the left, those are the rows that will increase with time. And the rows by the right, those are the ones that will decrease with time. And what have we seen here? What we are taking a look at now is that over here, there's so many roles, right? You see big data specialists, AI and machine learning specialists, and data engineering roles are also involved. So you have the big data specialist. The big data specialist, that's a role that a data engineer can function in, because as a data engineer, you work with big data, ensuring that you're collecting, maintaining, and protecting the organization's database, their data, all of those things. And then you have the data warehousing specialist, which is also a data engineering role. And then you have the data engineers just listed explicitly. Yeah, it's like they're telling you, if you don't know a big data specialist is a data engineering role, you don't know a data warehousing specialist that's also a data engineering role, they're just going to come them down here and tell you data engineers. So what this is telling us is that, in case maybe you don't know, if you read this carefully, you'd see projected job creation blue and displacement purple. Blue means that, oh, these are the number of rows that will be added to the number of rows we have now. And then purple means the number that will be destroyed. Okay, like, oh, we're going to lose these jobs. So maybe if you have 10 rows created, you have 10 jobs created, 2 jobs that will be destroyed, all of those things. And you see that we have a whole lot of jobs that will be created. So for big data specialists, you have a lot of opportunity to be able to work as a big data specialist, as a data engineer, data warehousing specialist. And you can also test this out yourself. You can go on any job board and search for data engineers, and you're going to see the number of roles that have been uploaded to that job site just today. I'm not saying all time, I'm just saying today. So that's something else. Mind you, this is not a report that was put together by Team Analytics. No, this is a report that's out there. As soon as you get access to the slides, ensure you fill the form, the attendance form, so you get access to the slides, the materials, all of this, so that you can take, once you get access, you can just come in here, click on the link to download the full report and read up on the entire thing for you to be able to make a decision. Now that we've been able to establish all of that, that data engineers are very, very sought after, that data engineering is one of the sexiest job of the century. It was previously said of for data science, but now data engineering is also also has a great argument. Okay, now we have to understand who is a data engineer. We've taken a look at the fact that data engineers are sought after, but who is a data engineer? Or what does it mean to be a data engineer? Does it mean that you are an engineer, but for data? Does it mean that you are building structures, but for data? Because that's what engineers do. They build structures. So does that mean I'm an engineer, but I'm building structures for data? Who knows? But a data engineer is a tech professional that designs, build, and maintains system and infrastructure. A data engineer is a professional that provides data to the company. A data engineer is a professional that ensures that the data that is being generated by the company is being maintained, collected, and safeguarded in the database for any other data professional that needs access to carry out analysis. Without the data engineer, there's no data. Without the data engineer, no show. Okay, so the data engineers are very, very important for any organization. The data engineer will go ahead to build pipelines. For example, let's say you have a website. Your website is generating data. Customers visit the website, but things are being bought. The number of minutes, the number of hours, the bounce rate, the pages that people visit the most. You have a website, so the website is generating data. Have you ever thought about this? How does this data in the what on the website? How does the data leave the website to get to a data analyst that for the data analyst to analyze, or to the for how does the data leave the website to get to the data scientist for the data scientist to analyze? It's the data engineer. So the data engineer will build pipelines connecting those pipelines to the data source, in this case, the website. We then connect those pipelines to a database, probably a SQL database, or most times a cloud database, for example, Azure, AWS, GCP, all of those kind of stuff, right? So we connect that so that once data is generated, then that data moves through that pipeline and gets stored in a database in a structured format, because the data on the website, they're usually just bunch of things, right? So it leaves the website and it moves into the database in a structured format where the data analyst, the data scientist can now easily go to that database, get the data they need for the analysis. A data engineer can be likened to a plumber. The plumber is in charge of ensuring that water gets to every part of the house that needs water. You built a house, you have a kitchen, you have the restroom, maybe even a garage, and you need water to be in each and every one of those rooms. Who do you call? You call a plumber. Now, the plumber would come in and connect pipes from the main water source. There's a main water source that's generating water, right? We'll connect pipe from the main water source to different parts of the house. Different parts of the house, the kitchen, the restroom, the garage, wherever needs water. So that the water, when it comes from the source, it then moves through the different pipes to the different rooms that need the water. That's the data engineer. So in this case, the water source is the data source, and the different rooms are the databases. Data engineering is sweet. And when I say sweet, I actually mean sweet. Like when you're a data engineer, you can taste it. It sounds fictitious, I know, but trust me, it's true. You might not understand this till you actually become a data engineer. And then you would notice that this is a career path that's sweet. Have you ever walked in, have you ever for many people they dread Mondays, right? Dread Mondays, like, oh, it's Monday again, you have to go to work. As a data engineer, you are happy it's Monday. You are waiting for Monday. Mondays are now going to be your favorite days of the week. You might not understand till you become a data engineer. So that being said, what are the different roles that you can actually function in as a data engineer? Because that's the beauty of data engineering, is that you don't only get to work as a data engineer, you can work as an analytics engineer, you can work as a BI engineer, that's a business intelligence engineer, you can work as an AWS cloud engineer, an Azure cloud engineer, a GCP cloud engineer, ETL developer, a big data engineer, data migration specialist, data platform engineer, and so many more. You can also work as a database administrator. You have some database administrators as well. So a data engineer can still function in that role. But that's like a database administrator is like it's like a data engineering is like the how do I put this? So you have database administrator, then you have data engineer at the top. So a database administrator cannot work as a data engineer, but a data engineer can work as a database administrator. I think that's the best way to put it. So there are so many roles that you can work in as a data engineer. So once you get the skills, so many opportunities are open for you. And what do you need to know to be a data engineer? What are the things that you need to learn to be a data engineer? For you to be a data engineer, there are certain tools and technologies that you need. There are certain skills that you need to know how to work with. There are certain skills that you need to know that you need to have. The things that you need to do, the tools that you need to be able to work with, tools like SQL and your Python, these are the bread and butter of every data engineer. As a data engineer, you want to understand Python. If you don't know Python, you haven't even started. A little bit of what we took a look at today was Python. It might have seemed like this big thing. Oh, someone even mentioned in the chat box, I believe that was Cornelia, if I'm not mistaken, that it seems so I don't understand. The language is looking foreign to me, right? And that is understandable because you don't know it yet. Listen to this. Python is very easy. While it might seem complex, it's not. It's all a bunch of simple commands that have come together to build something amazing. I'm pretty sure everyone knows about Legos. You know Legos? Legos, okay? So for our kids play with Legos. So Legos, Lego blocks, Lego. I'm sure everyone know Legos. If you know Legos, send I know Legos to the chat box, okay? Maybe I'll just or send a one to the chat box if you know Lego build Legos. Believe they are called Legos, or is it I don't know, different sense? Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. Legos. Yeah, fantastic. So we know Legos. Now, Legos are simple blocks. Simple blocks. So you have one block here, you have one block there, you have another block there. Simple blocks. But then you have kids that will be able to bring all of those blocks together to build something amazing. Maybe build a skyscraper, build a fire truck, build amazing things with these little building blocks. When you see the structure that has been built, it looks so complex. Oh, how was this done? But as soon as you break it down and you scatter, you'd see that it was just a bunch of blocks that had been brought together to build that amazing stuff. That is the case. That's the same thing for Python. So Python might seem, oh, it's so complex. I don't understand this language. That is because what you are seeing is the finished product. But there are little things that had to come together to be able to build the amazing structure that you've seen. And so for you to be able to understand Python, you first of all need to understand the ABCs. I'm talking about you understanding your loops, your functions, you understanding how the different kinds of data types in Python. Once you now have this basic understanding, you understand what it means to break, you understand what it means to continue, you understand the while loop, you understand all of these things, then it becomes simpler. It becomes simpler. Then when you see complex things, they no longer look complex. Because as you take a look at the entire code, you can identify those building blocks that have come together to build something amazing. So Python is not scary. Don't think it is. It is absolutely simple. as long as you stick with the right teacher. So you have to know Python. Another language that you have to know is your SQL. Your SQL, that's your structured query language, is the language of databases. There is the language of data. The language of data is Python. Most people refer to Python as the language of data. But there is also a language of databases. The language of a database is SQL. Data and database, they are two different things. Data is the content, database is the container. So you have to understand SQL and you have to understand Python to be able to function as a data engineer. Then you have your Linux, your PySpark for your big data processing, talking about how you can process billions, millions and millions and millions of rows of data, to your Apache Airflow for your automation, how you can automate pipelines so you don't have to be running the same pipeline every day. So you can just automate the pipeline so every day it refreshes and it gets new data from the website, the POS, the ATM, wherever you're getting the data from, and pushes it to the database. Then you have then you have Drill.io that you also need to learn to be able to build your EROD diagrams. That's your entity relationship diagrams. So your GitHub, your GitHub Copilot, and also your ChatGPT for data engineering. These are all of the things that you need. These are all of the things you need and all of the tools that you need to be a data engineer. And of course, your cloud engineering. Don't forget, you need to understand how to work with your GCP and also your Azure. What about the class times? The class times, you get to have classes on Saturdays in the morning, and in the morning classes, that's for those in Europe, in UK, Africa, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time. That's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UTC. And then for those in North America, you're in the US, you're in Canada, you have classes from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. MST. And then every other Saturday, you have what is called the self-paced watch me do it videos. Because at 10 Analytics, we use a dual learning approach where you learn using the live classes. You learn in live classes where you're on a class, you're speaking to the facilitator, you're learning, you're asking questions, you're practicing. And we also have the self-paced watch me do it videos, which introduce you to concepts that you are going to be learning in class. So it doesn't matter the kind of learner that you are, if you're the kind of person that prefers speaking with someone, or if you prefer having to watch series of videos, you want to be able to go back over and over and over and over again on the video for you to be able to understand what has been taught, no problem. You're good to go as well. The learning timeline, 8 months. You get to learn for 6 months, 6 months in class, and 2 months of internship. And the great thing about the internship is that you're going to be interning with Amdari. So you learn practice with analytics and you intern with Amdari. So you will have the opportunity of including both analytics and Amdari on your CV, which is absolutely great. So you can get a reference from analytics or you can get a reference from Amdari. And there are so many people that we've been able to help transition across all our different programs, from data engineering to data analytics to data science to so many programs. Okay. And we don't really have the time to go through all of these testimonials in great detail, but ensure you follow us on social media so you can see all of these testimonials. And we're also going to have sessions where we bring in people that have been able to transition and get jobs to speak to you on how they were able to do that. Okay. And of course, once you get access to the slides, you can go through all of these testimonials and listen to them speak because they are all attached to different videos. But the way we've been able to help people succeed, because at Analytics, what we call success, what we define as success, is when you've been able to get a job, not when you've learned the skills. You learning the skill does not mean that so we're going to call that success. No, what we call success is you've learned the skills and you're not gotten a job as a data engineer. And we are very much successful because we've been able to help over 2,850 individuals transition from the classroom to getting their first job in tech. And that is because we know what works. For you to be able to get a job, you need to complete the job equation. The job equation being the T plus E, that will get you the job. Your technical skills plus your employability skills. So you'll be getting the technical skills in classes, everything that we've gone through, understanding how to work with those tools. But for the employability skills that you also need to be able to get a job, hence the reason for the additional services that you'll be getting. Number one being the fact that your CV is going to be reviewed and revamped. So it will be reviewed and it will be revamped. You'll be taught how you can go ahead to work on your CV, to structure your CV pattern to the job description. That's the job that you're applying for up to. And also, we are going to work on your CV to ensure that your CV is ATS worthy, because your CV is the first point of contact when you're trying to get a job. Two, LinkedIn optimization. LinkedIn is now an integral part of getting a job. LinkedIn is now an integral part of job applications. You're now even advised that after you've been able, that when you send your CV should contain your LinkedIn profile so recruiters can check you out on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you have recruiters reaching out to people telling them to apply to jobs that they did not even know existed. And that can also be the same case for you. But for that to be the case, your LinkedIn has to be optimized. For that to be the case, your LinkedIn has to be great. For that to be the case, the LinkedIn has to show that you are an amazing professional, and who would help put you through how you can go through all of that. To navigating the job market. These are sessions where we bring in professionals, we bring in tech experts, we bring in recruiters that will come in and tell you things that they look out for when they are when in candidates. So these are the people that you're actually applying to. You're applying to jobs, the people you're sending your CVs. Okay, the recruiters from Silicon Valley and all of the rest. They join the sessions and they tell you these are the green flags, not only the red flags. Everyone knows the red flags. Don't do this, don't do this. But okay, so I should not do this, I should not do this. What then should I do? No one talks about the green flags. It might shock you to know that a recruiter spends an average of 2 to 6 seconds on a CV. You hear recruiters say things like, oh, I had to go through 4,000 CVs, I had to go through 8,000 CVs. No one spends 2 minutes reading your CV. So if you think that, oh, everything you've written on your CV, that there's going to be someone at the back end that would sit and read, that does not happen. That means that there are certain things they are looking out for that will determine if you're going to get an interview or not in 2 to 6 seconds. So that is those things that they're looking out for. The recruiters will tell you these are what we are looking out for, so that when you're applying to jobs, you ensure those things are on your CV and you increase your chances of getting called for an interview. Then we get the interview prep. You've gotten an interview, we don't just end there. You can go ahead to schedule an interview prep session where the recruiter takes you through. So you go ahead to schedule an interview prep session with a one-on-one interview prep session with a professional, where the professional takes you through everything that you need to know to be able to scale through that interview. From how you can answer questions about yourself, to talking about your experience, to answering to walking through technical interviews. Because our goal again is to ensure that your entire being gets into that company, that you actually get the job. So we'll prep you for an interview to ensure that you are able to succeed. Then we have the job reference letter, where you get a reference letter, where you get a reference letter as soon as it's needed. Because many recruiters nowadays, they want you to provide a reference letter for someone that they can speak to, that would serve as someone that they can speak to that would confirm that, oh, I've been able to work with this individual. This individual is great. They're fantastic. They're amazing, and they're going to be a valuable addition to your team. As long as you're an alumnus or a participant with analytics, you are sure of getting a reference letter from us whenever the need arises. And then we have the on-the-job support. You've gotten the job, but you need help. You were given a task that is not so clear. You can still reach out to us even after you're done with the program for guidance, and we'll guide you on everything that you need to do, how you can go back to work, and how you can do amazingly well. To the mentorship session, where every week, week in, week out, you are mentored by experts, people that have been able to succeed where you're looking to succeed, take you through what they did that helped them to succeed. So you can do those things, and so your success is 2x. Because mentorship, one very big good thing about mentorship is that mentorship would speed your route to success. Mentorship is you listening to people tell you, oh, this is what works, this is what works, this is not what works. People that have tested and know that this is the way to succeed in the industry. And of course, Upwork optimization. So some of us, you are looking at being a freelancer, you want to freelance. The Upwork optimization session would show you how you can succeed as a freelancer, from being able to write outstanding proposals, to ensuring that clients view your proposals, to how you can navigate through the entire Connect system, ensuring that you succeed as a freelancer. All of those things is what would help you land a job, in addition to the technical skills. So for you to take part of all of these, for you to benefit from all of this, all you need to do is to join the next squad that's going to begin on the 6th of June. 6th of June. That's the next squad. And for you to be a part of that program, what do you need to do? Simple. just go ahead to register. So the registration for you to register, the amount at the moment is $900. So you get to pay $900. That's the full amount to register. But if you qualify for the discount is only for the first 20 people to register. Only for the first 20 people to register. You get to pay $750 instead if you qualify for the discount. And so just okay. And just give me a moment. I'm going to show you how you can make payments. So my colleague is going to send the link to make payment to the chat box. Once you click on that link, it's going to take you over. It's going to bring you over to the Analytics Enrollment Center, which I'm going to pull up now. Okay, so it brings you over to Analytics Enrollment Center. And over here, you see that you can chat with Analytics. So maybe you're having an issue while making payments and you need to reach out to an individual to tell them, oh, this is what I'm present to. Can you help me with this? Can you assist? No problem. There's someone at the back end ready to take all your questions. And over here, you can get access to all our program brochures across board. Okay, so maybe you're interested in other programs. You want to take a look at data analytics, data, all of that. So you can click on get access to program brochures and you can read up on everything you're going to be getting in each and every one of the programs from point A to point Z. And over here, the discount is still running, as you can see. And then once you scroll down, you see all of the different programs. So let's say you want to register for data engineering. You scroll to the bottom and you see register for data engineering. So you click on that, you click on register for data engineering, and it's going to bring you over to this point where you can make payments. So just wait for this to. Okay, it's great. So it brings you over to this point where you can make payments. So at the moment, we have few seats available. Okay, so again, the discount is only for the first 20 persons to register. As soon as we get to that benchmark, every other person would have to pay the full amount of $900. And the great thing about this is that you can break your installments into you can break your payment into several installments into as much as 5 installments, whereby you get to pay $150 every month for 5 months. So and if I click on this, you'd see, okay, just a moment. So, okay, so if I click on this, you can see secure your seats. So if I go ahead to click on secure your seats, okay. So if I go ahead to click on secure your seats, it's going to ask for my details. I insert my details and I make payments. So for the 5 installment plan, if you get to make payments today, in 1 month's time, you get to pay the other installment, and then in 2 months' time, you get to pay the third installment and all of that. But for those of us that are looking to pay a single installment, so you just want to make the payments one time and that's it. What you get is that you get an extra $50 off the payment. Now, let me explain what I mean. At the moment, the amount for the program is what? $900. This is for the full amount. So if you don't qualify for the discount, you get to pay $900. But if you're part of the first 20 persons to register, you get to pay $750 instead. But if you decide that you want to make a one-time payment or you want to break the payment into 2 installments, you get an extra $50 off. And so the total that you'll be paying will be $700 instead. So you pay one time or 2 times, you get to pay a total of $700. But if you break the installment down to 3, 4, 5 months, then you get to pay $750 only if you qualify for the discount. Okay, so you want to try to make payments as soon as possible so you get to qualify for the discount. So that's about it. Please let's ensure we go ahead to register as quickly as possible. I'm going to take questions. There are so many people that we've been able to help. So many people that we've been able to help transition. Like I said, as soon as you get access to the slides, ensure that you go through all of these things. We have been doing this for a while now, and of course the success is tremendous. And of course, for we are also accredited by the American Council of Training and Development. That means that in your certificate, the certificate that you're going to be getting, it's going to be stamped with the ACTD logo. Okay, so your ACTD logo is going to be on the certificate due to the fact that we are accredited by the American Council for Training and Development. So many people that we've been able to help. Okay, so many people. Even Joel. So this is Joel that we helped get a job as a data engineer after completing the program. So you can listen to Joel talking about the story, how we were able to help him make that switch. But yeah, again, you want to jump on this train quickly. Okay, so that would be it for now. I don't know if you have questions. Probably I can take a question or two, and then we'll call it a day. So I can take a question: can a nurse do this, or what's best for a nurse to go into? Yes, a nurse can actually get into data engineering. Your background doesn't matter. For the 8 programs that we offer here at Analytics, there's something I mentioned earlier that they are based on 2 criteria: ease of learning, ease of transitioning, and high rewarding salary. Ease of transitioning means that you don't need to have any background for you to be able to transition. It all depends on what do you want to do. Is this a career? Is this a path that you think will be great for you? So I know that you might need a more detailed breakdown. So maybe you want us to help you take a look at your choices, the kind of person you are. Do you like things that are very technical? Would you prefer things that are a bit laid back? You don't want to work with so many tools. So we can help you out with all of that. All you need to do, you can book a session, a clarity session, how we can help you get a job. That's what it's called. And in that session, you can ask all of this question, and you'd have that interaction with a professional to guide you through, okay, this is what we think we should do. You can go ahead to register for the data engineering program or any other program that we think will suit you best, iPhone. But if as a nurse, but if as a nurse, you are actually interested in data engineering, you love data engineering, and you feel that's what you want to do, then of course, as a nurse, you can be a data engineer. No doubt about that. Okay, so I guess that's all the question. I don't think I can see any other question. So, seems no other question. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I believe we had an amazing time. I know for a fact that I actually did have an amazing time. And please ensure you go ahead to register as quickly as possible because the discount is only for the first 20 persons to register. And as we always say, as we tell our kids as well, I'll be telling you that too. And that is, quick says the clock. Whatever you have to do ensure you do quick. Cheers, everyone.